Odessa Jenkins, founder and CEO of the Women's National Football Conference. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So for those who don't know about this league, I'm wondering if you can kind of give us the background, the high-level overview of what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish.
Sure. The Women's National Football Conference is a 16-team professional women's tackle football league. We're the most progressive and aggressive women's tackle football entity in the history of sports. What we're trying to do is simple. Our mission is to accelerate equity for women and girls, financial equity for women and girls through the power of football. For 70 or 80 years, women have played tackle football in the U.S. around the country. Our singular goal is to build a profitable business to get women paid to play professional tackle football.
How did you get to this point? What's your background? What is your connection to football? How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I started in basketball. Played Division I basketball at Cal Poly. Ended up playing football after college. I was always a football person, but can never find it. Yeah. Found myself playing in a bunch of amateur leagues. Then the U.S. national team came along, and I was lucky enough to go play in the U.S. national team and be a 3-time captain and a 4-time gold medalist. And then in 2017, when the NFL, frankly, Sam Rappaport of the NFL convinced, Roger Goodell that women who were playing tackle football might actually be able to accelerate the coaching pipeline for women. I was lucky enough to be one of the first women chosen through the Bill Walsh Diversity Internship to go into the NFL. And when I went in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons, Devontae Freeman was about to sign the biggest running back contract in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
I just happened to be a running back at that time. And it really changed my mind on what I thought could be financially possible for women in football. Maybe not 100 billion, but in 4 to 5 years, maybe we could get to a place where at least we could stop paying to play, and get some investment, draw some investment from brands. And so I decided my NFL dreams needed to be stopped at that time, and they became WNFC dreams. And I founded the business, and really the business was simple. I thought if I could put all of my startup knowledge that I had learned and growing, because I was just growing a SaaS business that we were about to have a pretty big exit in.
Yeah.
And I thought if I could take some of those mechanisms into women's tackle football, maybe I could build us a viable business. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years.
What was the process like of raising capital and kind of getting it off the ground?
Hard, man. Hard. Shout out to all the founders that had to bootstrap for 4 and 5 years. That's what I had to do. I bootstrapped the business. I used my own money. We actually drove revenue through apparel and ticket sales. We kind of had to grow a business like anyone else does because no one came to save us. There was no celebrity. There was no VC giving us $100 million to figure it out. We had to figure out by building a market first and then building a business. So I say it was hard, but it was probably very rewarding because by the time we were able to attract a seed investor, we had a really strong business.
Yeah. What did so eventually you worked with institutional investors. What did the funding look like? To what scale is the league at now?
Yeah. So in 2024, when we started selling franchises, because we needed to build the business first, the woman that bought our first really franchise, her name's Dawn Sherman. She's an investor, she's a philanthropist, and she's also a businesswoman and a CEO of a pharma company. And someone had a previous relationship with the business.
Yeah.
And she ended up buying the franchise, but also becoming our lead investor, putting $1 million into our seed round. Okay. And then the rest of it, about $500,000, was invested by the existing teams who had owned teams. So we raised 1.5 in our seed round at the end of 2024, going into 25. And now we're ready for institutional investment, and we're going to kick off our Series A right after this. So this kicks us off.
That's awesome. How is the league structured? How many teams? Where are they playing out of? What does that look like?
Sure. So the league it's actually an association of ownership teams. So all of our teams now hold equity in the private corporation. So the league's a private corporation.
Yeah.
It is individually owned and operated from the team. So each of the 16 teams are their own entities, and they're owned by individual owners. All of those owners have a piece of equity in the league. The vision is that ultimately our teams will continue to raise equity and continue to buy ownership in the league, and we will be a team-owned entity. We also have the ability for non-team owners to come in and buy equity at the top. So it's a pretty attractive investment because you could buy WNFC level equity, or you can buy it into a team in all parts of the league.
What markets are you generally kind of picking, and how are you thinking about which markets to operate in? Because, like there are plenty of big cities with plenty of sports teams. Wondering where do you want to put these teams, how you're thinking about moving them around, whether you're regionalizing as well, or how does that look like?
Yeah, so right now we're kind of in the regionalizing phase, but also what we've learned from the NWSL and partially from some of the lessons of the WNBA is it's less about market location and more about ownership investment.
Yeah.
Right? How well is your new ownership group connected? How long are they in for the game? Are they just looking for a trophy asset? Have they built a business before? That kind of thing. So right now it's kind of double attraction. What are the right regional markets? And then who are the right owners to come into existing teams? Because we're in some great markets. We're in LA, we're in Las Vegas, Kansas City, Chicago, New Jersey, Dallas, Nashville. We're in some great markets already where we're having on-the-field success. But now we need to connect to some business owners locally to really bring in some capital into those markets.
Well, shout out to my home state in New Jersey.
Shout out to Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay, Jersey Shore wave.
Where are franchise values at now? Because, obviously at Forbes, we're kind of looking at this constantly. We've done a lot more looking at valuations in women's sports. So kind of what scale are you operating off of now?
Yeah, so right now our teams are talking to investors at about $1 million, $1.5 million, up to $3 million.
Yeah.
So that's where we are in terms of team valuation. On league valuation, we raised our seed round on $20 million and are going to go out with our Series A at $50 million.
So what does the revenue pie look like now? Obviously, you mentioned at the beginning, it was more apparel driven and game. Is it the typical game day sponsorship? I know. Are you guys thinking about national media rights? Probably a little early for that, but curious, how does the revenue pie look right now, and where do you see the areas of growth that you like the most?
We, as a young league, we actually have a pretty, I would say, healthy balance of revenue. We have some national media rights through Victory Plus. We have a 5-year deal with Victory Plus. They're awesome. They've been great to us. They made an investment in us right away. Now they have the NWSL. They have League One volleyball. They've got MLB. And based on what's happening lately, they might have more. Right? Who knows with regional TV? But Victory Plus really jumped in and helped us from that perspective. We also have our championship game on ESPN2.
Yeah.
But in terms of financially, we're probably mostly heavily weighted on the sponsorship side of things, thanks to our deals with Adidas, Dove, Riddell Sports. We also have a very healthy apparel line item because where else can you go to get a women's tackle football jersey or a hoodie that says her game? So we do really well and we're vertically integrated there. We did just jump off a relationship with BSN, which might take some of that business away, but help us with margin.
Yeah.
So in terms of our split, our teams own local ticketing, but our playoffs and our national championship, which is hosted at the Star in Frisco, the Dallas Cowboys headquarters.
Oh, nice.
Actually, it's about a $500,000 business, our playoffs and our championship game. So we're hoping to continue to grow that. But the majority of our revenue is right now driven from sponsorships, apparel, and then on licensing.
What does viewership look like? I know you said, okay, so you got Victory, but also you're playing on ESPN2. What are kind of the levels of viewership you guys are hitting now?
I think we surprised some people. We had our first national TV linear debut on June 21st last year. It was the middle of the day in the summer at 3 p.m. Eastern, and 150,000 households tuned in and watched our championship game. We had 20,000 people streaming. We've had over 300,000 streamed through the year. We think we're going to triple that number as well as double our linear number this year. So viewership is growing. Where we see the most engagement for us is through social media.
Yeah.
We engaged 100 million people on Meta platforms last year. We'd like to see some of that convert to TV and streaming, and I think that's going to happen this year.
How is all this kind of the economic stats of the league come back to player pay? Like, to what degree are players earning right now? How do you see that changing? Where are they at?
So right now, our players are only getting paid on a bonus player of the week performance basis.
Oh, interesting.
Some of our sponsors are even cashing into some of our players, and then local sponsorships.
Yeah.
So they're not salaried employees of our league yet.
Yeah.
The idea with this Series A, similar to what's happening in basketball and volleyball, is that and even hockey, right? That just happened with hockey where they did a big raise and they were able to pay players a living wage. We're hoping our Series A will be able to get us to a point where we can move from that incentive-based pay to now we can move to a regular game day pay.
Do you feel like flag football, being just such a different sport and kind of rising in popularity, going to the Olympics, is naturally diametrically opposed? Are you able to leverage that in any ways?
Flag is huge for us. It's actually a financial line item for us, but it's also a pipeline driver.
Yeah.
One of our biggest sort of awareness campaigns is around this entity called Got Her Back. It's the charitable entity of the WNFC. We engaged 20,000 girls with it last year. Our sponsors love it because it's a way for us to have an entry point into flag football and tackle football for girls.
Yeah.
We also hold one of the top tournaments, flag tournaments, adult tournaments, during our championship weekend. Because, flag is a part of football. You call it what you want to call it. We love flag football because, frankly, the NFL's, the NCAA, and USA Football's investment into flag football has grown our business 100%.
Yeah.
We see more girls and women wanting to play tackle and flag football. It's not either or. I think what's going to happen is people are going to realize, just like with anything else, flag football it takes a certain skill set, a certain body type, particularly 5-on-5. You ever see 5-on-5 flag football?
I've seen 7-on-7.
It's like being on skates. Like you look away and people are gone. Everybody's fast and the field is shorter. The games are faster. It's I mean,
I've played in leagues before, and it's 6-on-6 or 7. I can't remember now, but it's a tiny field.
The Olympics is 5-on-5.
The Olympics 5-on-5. Okay.
It is the fastest game.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And so there's no linemen, right? There's no offensive, defensive linemen. There's no tight ends. There's no pocket quarterbacks. Yeah. And so while I think flag football absolutely has its own place, so does tackle. Tackle football is not going anywhere. Yeah. And so it's done wonders for us, one, to see more girls and women get into the sport and put football in their hand, but it's done wonders for the business of the WNFC.
To what extent is the NFL kind of, a support system here, getting involved? Have you worked with them in any way to this point?
Yeah, you know what? They're actually great supporters of us. They've come to our championship weekend for the last 2 years. They've been super great in giving us advice through our Got Her Back, our camps and clinics. A lot of the NFL teams have partnered with us, the Rams, the Eagles, the Houston Texans. And so it's been really awesome to see them get involved with us at the grassroots level. We're actually been talking to the NFL about how we can continue to tell women's tackle football stories. So we're having a lot of sort of conversations with NFL marketing. They've been great to us. I can't say it anymore.
Coming out at this point where the NFL has already kind of established a lot of player safety guidelines and this and that, to what degree are you guys implementing that? Where are you kind of on the player safety curve?
To be honest, we copycatted. The NFL does it the best. Their head and neck safety protocols, while we don't have the same resources as the NFL, we do have connections to them. So right away last year, we kicked off a really cool partnership with a company called Sway Medical. Yeah. And they are both tech and head and neck safety. They have some of the best technology in the around concussion protocol. So each WNFC athlete actually has a baseline concussion protocol test before the season starts. The other thing that the NFL has done for us is help us take heart health safety seriously. Yeah. So I think we're the only league, in the world where each one of our coaches, head coaches and assistants, 100% of our coaching staff is CPR and first aid certified. Yeah. And we just did that because we thought we'd go one step further in making sure that our players are safe.
I know we're talking about a Series A at this point, but how are you thinking about profitability and kind of how long it's going to take and how do you actually get there?
Yeah, I think right now it's easy to be profitable because we don't have to pay 900 players, right? So right now, building the business to profitability it took a while, but we got there.
So right now it is profitable?
It is a profitable business, yes. We run very lean and very efficiently. Shout out to SaaS technology for teaching me how to do that. But no, I think we are getting into a phase where it's probably after the Series A going to take another 3 to 5 years for us to get to that place. But if you think about it, every place where we have driven revenue is quadrupling annually.
Yeah.
So the idea that that's going to get better and accelerate with more capital, I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of kind of starting small and kind of growing exponentially. How do you think about expansion? I believe you said 16 teams right now. NFL's got 32. A lot of leagues, the pitfalls of expanding too quickly has kind of hurt. How do you think about growing the league? Do you want to stick at 16 for a while? Do you want to kind of roll out more teams? What's your thought?
I don't have any interest in having 32 teams. Shout out to the NFL. I think 16 to 20 is the right amount of teams for our league. I think right now 16 markets is perfect. I think we're still trying to figure out what the right 16 are.
Yeah.
Right? I think we still have the ability to be in startup mode right now where we can get into a new market and figure things out. I think there are some markets that are hard and that are there, right? Like Chicago, New Jersey, San Francisco. I mean, we just got here, Dallas.
Yeah.
But there are some markets that we really are interested in looking at. Carolina's one, Arizona. We're talking to some ownership groups in North Carolina and Charlotte that are really interested. Talking to some ownership groups in Arizona that are super interested in women's tackle and flag. So I think for us, 16 to 20 is the right number.
You guys flying private the way the NFL does yet, or?
Holler at us, Southwest Airlines. No, we're not flying private. You will see WNFC teams on commercial airlines, but so not flying private yet.
What else do we need to know about the WNFC?
I think it is the best thing that you have never watched. Okay. So if you love football and you love the American story of a startup, of bootstrapping a business that has infinite growth potential, those are 2 reasons to follow us, watch us, and support us. I think those are the 2 things I want you to know.
Odessa Jenkins, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.